Hi, and welcome back to another episode of Too Soon to Stop, the How to Reinvent Yourself channel. I am Dr. Diane Craig, and you and I are on a journey together trying to figure out just how we can discover new focus and dreams in order to help others. As a 64-year-old emergency room physician with over 30 years of experience, I'm thrilled to be with you and hope you are learning and having as much fun as I am trying to figure out your end game. This week, I would like to speak about my past experiences and how they tie into who I am today. I am inspired by Prince Harry and Meghan Markle's story. I love the show Suits. Why? Well, while the two main characters on Suits are white males, they are involved in diverse relationships on many levels. Suits is a very inclusive show with a multiracial cast. The main boss, Jessica Pearson, was portrayed by Gina Torres, a very talented and beautiful black female actress. Even one of the main characters, Mike Ross, portrayed by Patrick J. Adams, was involved in an interracial relationship and eventually married his love interest, Rachel Zane, played by Meghan Markle on the show. While as an American, I never really paid much attention to the British royal family, I knew the diversity Meghan Markle brought to the monarchy by marrying Prince Harry was going to be huge. It is very important to people of color that have been told repeatedly that they are less than to be included. It gives them the credibility they crave to prove the naysayers wrong. We can now say, hey, I am accepted for who I am, and therefore I am good enough despite all the things you have been trying to convince me of. It helps with our self-esteem and creates a positive mindset and atmosphere to allow us to accomplish things we would never think possible if continued to be exposed to naysayers and follow what they are trying to tell us. Young people, no matter what walk of life they come from, are desperately in need of validation and encouragement. Please allow me to tell you a story of my past. When I was 16 years old, I decided that I might want to be a doctor. I wanted a different life for myself. Growing up, we did not have a lot of money, and it greatly limited things we could and could not do. I knew that if I did not educate myself, I was destined to the same fate of growing up in government-subsidized housing and going to public schools with their limitations. We were fortunate to have access to a quality school, but I knew that there was much more out there and I wanted to experience it. I am actually very shy and an introvert. However, I can classify myself as an ambivert now. I am perfectly content sitting at home and reading a book, but I can get up and speak in front of a crowd if the circumstances dictate this. So going to a counselor's office in my high school as a shy young black female who had been told repeatedly I did not measure up was extremely difficult for me. I kept putting it off and would even go as far as to go down the hall of his office and stop myself and turn around and go home. I did this multiple times. Eventually, I realized that I would need to do something different in order to have a different outcome. So that morning, I chose my outfit very carefully, made sure my makeup was perfect and my hair was perfect, and everything was just right. I walked down the same hall that I'd walked down many times again. I did not know the counselor, and he was assigned to me probably based on what my last name was. Anyway, I came to his door, which was open, and he was sitting at his desk. I sheepishly walked in and sat down. He asked me what I wanted. I told him I wanted to be a doctor and could use his help on how to achieve this. Well, he looked at me and yelled at me, "You're not capable of being a doctor. You're not qualified to be one. No one would take you seriously. Here, this is a list of LPN schools. Call one of these." Then he promptly dismissed me and told me to leave his office. Well, you can only imagine the shock and embarrassment I felt. Here I had been working up the courage to talk to this man for several weeks, and this is how I was received and, quote, advised, unquote. I was so hurt and angry. I took the list of LPN schools, but did not even read the list. Now, please hear me. There's nothing wrong with being an LPN. Some of my favorite coworkers are LPNs, and they have saved me from disaster many a time because they are capable and able to hang around the patients longer than I have the time to because I'm spread so thin. They have the training to recognize disaster when it's looming. Anyway, however, this is not what I was seeking. To be told by a, quote, counselor, unquote, who had judged me based on my race and gender mortified my 16-year-old soul to the core. Anyway, I took the list home. 2 days later, I threw it in the garbage. I did not simply throw it away, but took it to an incinerator so that it could be burned, and I stood there and watched it burn. I had no idea what my next step was going to be, but it was not following his advice. Fast forward 1 year later. I had graduated from my high school and decided to take a job in a typing pool at a bank. I was so insecure about my desire to become a doctor that I had squelched it and even put in my high school yearbook in my senior year comments that I wanted to be a secretary or a teacher. Again, there's nothing wrong with either of these. It just was not for me. Anyway, I had flunked driver's ed on my first go round in high school. I could not back up if my life depended on it, and since this was one of the skills required to pass, I did not pass. However, I knew I needed to learn to drive. So I retook the class after I graduated and was able to get the day off from work. I was walking from the bus stop to the school building when another counselor who I had developed a great relationship with had stopped me. She knew I had already graduated and asked me what I was doing there. I sheepishly told her that I had flunked driver's ed and needed to repeat it. She then proceeded to ask me what I was doing since graduation. I told her about the typing pool job I had. She listened intently, and then she said, "Why aren't you in college?" I gave her my excuse about not having the money. She challenged my limited thinking and reminded me that there were loans available for situations like mine. I told her I did not know where to go. She advised me to go to her old college and how much I would enjoy it. Well, even though I was pretty beaten down by this time, I decided to go for it. I made the arrangements, and well, the rest is history. Here I am 4 decades later telling you about my 30 years as an emergency room physician. By the way, I invited her to my college graduation, and she came. It is so important to recognize talent when you see it and to care about things that others care about in order to be effective in whatever reinvention endeavor you are undergoing. The bad counselor was only interested in promoting his own agenda. Please keep in mind when people put you down and do not validate you, it actually has very little to do with you, although it is very difficult to see at the time. By not recognizing and validating what was important to me, he proved to be highly ineffective in my future decisions and failed me as a guidance counselor. The good counselor, however, saw and accepted me totally for who I was. I was able to become who I am and become that with her encouragement and guidance. Very effective and successful counseling. My point is how important it is that you listen to people that have your best interests at heart and learn how not to listen to those who are only talking from their own experience and want to conform you to their ideals and not your own. It is bred from self-interest and not the welfare of you. Surrounding yourself with people who are like-minded, they will support you and believe in you. You have to do the heavy lifting, however, and you have to do the hard work yourself in order to be successful. You must be willing to stand up to naysayers and follow your dream, which never goes away. Accept that this is from God and part of his plan for you. Read Jeremiah 29:11, which talks about God's plans for our lives and our future. Isaiah 55 talks about God's thoughts are not our thoughts. Please read and study these powerful scriptures to get the desperately needed clarity for your journey. The last thing you want is to be lying on your deathbed with couldas and shouldas. Think of all the thousands of people who I have helped over the years. This would never have happened if I had listened to the bad counselor. Thank God for the chance encounter with the good counselor and her having the wisdom to challenge my belief system that I had set up for myself because of all the limitations the world had placed on a young, poor black female. Start dreaming. Stop squelching. You never know where things will lead you. As I mentioned in the beginning, I love Prince Harry and Meghan Markle. They are an inspiration because of the transparency and standing in their truth. When you look at pictures of them, not only are they smiling, but people standing around them are smiling. This requires a level of authenticity that cannot be faked or bought. This can be your mission too. Stay inspiring and true to yourself. Till next time, praying for your success and wishing you the very best.